going on, guys? Welcome to episode 14 of my All Mobile 2026 career mode, and we're here for the penultimate race of this first season in Suzuka for the Japanese Grand Prix, and we just ran wide into the hairpin, but our lap time didn't get deleted as we weren't too far off track. Through both spoon corners we go, exiting the second spoon corner onto this start finish straight down to 130R we go. This time hopefully don't run wide on the exit, as it happened to me quite often. Into the chicane, final two corners. Through the corners we go one last time, braking a bit hard. Onto the start finish straight, and where will we stack up for first run of the weekend? And it's provisional pole position. In the end we got demoted down to P4, and it's also just Q1, so it's not yet important to qualify in P1. In the end we even got demoted down to P5, no, still in P4. But now let's jump into Q2 with two powerful sectors. On the start finish straight we go, with the overtake enabled, down to the line we go, also the DRS now enabled. Where will we end up? We'll end up in P1 once again, with all three sectors colored in purple. In the end, Verstappen got the middle sector purple and Leclerc got the final sector purple, so I just had the first sector as the quickest lap time. And now I decided to leave it with the qualifying and jump straight into the race, as I knew the AI would be slow once again at this track. So here's the starting grid. I'll start in P10, and my teammate surprisingly starts in the same row as me with P11. And here are the 5 red lights, and when they go off, the race is on here for the Japanese Grand Prix in Season 1. But the penultimate race of the season has just begun. We get a great launch, not a too good one to directly overtake some other cars, but through the first corner we make up several places, and we are already up, but the Haas and the Red Bull re-overtake me through the S corners, and I have to settle back with this position where I'm now at. But the Red Bull runs wide, and instead the Ferrari is through, so I didn't make up a position, but I also didn't lose a position, stayed in the same position. And through the Degner corners we go, into Degner 2, we tap the rear of the Ferrari and lose the car on the exit of Degner 2, and now the Haas of Oliver Baumann uses it to re-overtake me, and I run wide into the hairpin and lose even more position. Now I'm down to P12, right ahead of my teammate, who's down to P13. And both Aston Martins of Alonso and Stroll got ahead of me, so I'll now have to overtake both of them in one go, hopefully. Through both spoon corners we go. I run wide a bit on the outside. I had a little look, but the Aston squeezes me. I think it's Alonso or is it Stroll, I'm not so sure. One of them squeezed me off track just massively, but through his 130 out we go, around the outside, and I got squeezed once again. Off the track we go, but we overtake nevertheless both of them. Into this last chicane we miscalculate the braking point and have to let Colapinto and Tarja both through, and it was Stroll who was the second Aston Martin. We're now right behind Isaac Hadjar because we braked very late into the final chicane, so we caught up and made up much time into the final chicane, and we lost the car again as we tapped the rear of Isaac Hadjar of the Red Bull from the Frenchman. But through the S's we can make out the place, and we are up into P9 now, right behind Franco Colapinto in the Alpine. And next up ahead we've got Oliver Baumann, and we again run wide. We had a snap of oversteer into this corner as Colapinto suddenly braked. Luckily it didn't cost us a position, but it cost us a huge amount of time. 2 corners later we caught up to him again, and into the hairpin I attempted a move and dive from on the inside. Somehow he left me the room, so I have now hopefully enough room on the outside to make the move, but he squeezes me off track and completely off track onto the grass. But our lap time already got deleted by the incident with Isaac Hadjar, so the lap time now doesn't get deleted. But into the second spoon corner we make out the place side by side with Franco Colapinto, exiting spoon 2 out of this start finish straight, and down to 130 hour we go. We're now catching on Oliver Baumann into the hairpin. No, not the hairpin. Into the chicane we go. Can we outbrake him? Into the chicane. A little bit later we can brake, but it's not late enough. But now the Ferrari and the Haas tangle a little bit, exiting the chicane, and now I can use it to overtake both Haas. And now I'm up to P6, right behind my championship rival Lewis Hamilton, who is one position ahead of me in P5, and ahead of him we've got Pierre Gasly, and I hope we'll both be able to catch up to him quite fast. So I'll stay behind Lewis for not long, as I tried to overtake him right away, but I took him a bit wide, so I let him through again. So no position change yet, and I'll concentrate so that we both can catch up quickly to Pierre Gasly, who is in a slower Alpine in P4. Into the hairpin we go. Again had a look on Lewis Hamilton, but this time we're way too far away, not as close as we were to Franco Colapinto a few laps ago. And half a lap later, Lewis Hamilton pulled away from me and caught up to Pierre Gasly. He's now right behind the Frenchman. Side by side they go into the first corner, and he overtakes him. Lewis Hamilton overtakes Pierre Gasly and is through. Now I have to quickly overtake Gasly too, so I don't lose too many points on Lewis Hamilton. Side by side we go with the Frenchman through the S corners, but we run wide massively through the S corners, and Paul David 35 uses it and gets through back into P6. Now I'm down to P7. Now Lewis Hamilton is in P4 and I'm down in P7. This is dramatic. Thank God through both Stigner corners we caught up to Paul David again. So into the hairpin, we'll make a dive on him, and we can hopefully overtake him exiting the hairpin. No, we can't! He gets a better exit than me on the outside of the hairpin and stays in front of me for another few meters. But with the overtake, I can line up side by side with him into spoon 1. I can overtake him, but he makes a switchback move into spoon 2 and stays in front of me another time. What a great battle with the Italian, but it's getting frustrating as I'm trying to fight for the championship. Finally, I'm able to overtake him ahead of 1:30 hour, and now I'm up back in P6 again, but this caused a lot of time as Pierre Gasly is nearly a second ahead of me already, but somehow I managed to get into his DRS again. But now my battery is empty, so I'll have to wait for another few corners to be able to overtake the Frenchman. Unfortunately, Lewis Hamilton has checked out nearly 30 seconds now already, so this fight has cost me a lot of time as we run wide and exit of turn 2, but we caught up to Pierre Gasly again, the same place where I ran wide before. Now I hopefully can overtake him somewhere on the exit of this corner. He brakes checks me a little bit again, but at this time I'm aware of it, so I could react in time. Into Degner 1 and Degner 2, I nearly overtook him, but he placed his car perfectly, so I couldn't really commit for a move. But into the hairpin we go. Can we now overtake him? Into the hairpin. We bang tires, we bang with the side pass, but on the exit, are we able to overtake him? No, we can't. He stays in front of me another time as he gets a better exit through the outside of the hairpin. And now Paul David 35 has caught up to me again as Pierre Gasly got away a little bit from me. But through the second corner of the lap, we are able to catch up to him again, and through the S's another lap later, now around the outside, side by side with the Alpine driver, and we're finally up in P5, and now we are already nearly 5 seconds away from Lewis Hamilton, who is still in P4, luckily not yet able to catch up to Andrea Kimi Antonelli. 2 laps later we closed the gap to 1.1 seconds. Out of Degner 2 we closed up the gap to nearly 7 tenths. Another 2 laps later, as we come down to the chicane, the Mercedes and the Ferrari cut the chicane. What is going on? And another lap later, this time in lap 11, they do it again. They cut the chicane once again. 2 laps in a row, they're cutting the chicane to save some time, I think. And another lap later, in lap 12. So this happened progressively now. The past 3 laps, Antonelli came into the pits, so I'm now free to fight with Lewis Hamilton for P3 now, for the podium. It's now finally. We're right behind Lewis Hamilton now, ahead of the S corners, lining up for a move into this corner now. Side by side we go through the S corners with Lewis Hamilton, but we run wide, we tangle a little bit, and he makes a switchback move and gets repast me and stays in front of me for another few corners. in P3 and I'm still in P4, now fighting with my championship rival through the both Stigner corners. We go exiting Stigner 2. We're now right behind him once again. Can we now overtake him somewhere? Into the hairpin we go. We make a lunge on the inside. Can we overtake him? No, we can't. He stays in front of me for another few corners. And this time Charles Leclerc comes to the pits and we're released into the P3. And now we've only got Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton who are out of me. But Max Verstappen came into the pits a lap later. So we are now fighting with Lewis Hamilton for the lead as all drivers came into the pits. And a lap later we are managing and we can overtake him around the outside into turn 2. What an impressive move around the outside. Now let's focus to get the job done as the race is not over yet. We've still got 10 laps to go. We just overtook Lewis Hamilton and now we have to try to build a gap. A lap later we caught up to a backmarker and he distracted me a little bit into 130R, which made me lose a huge amount of time. Lewis Hamilton gained from 2 seconds to under a second. He's now in the DRS with me. Can he overtake me on the start finish straight, or are we far away enough to stay in front of him? He's catching and catching and catching. We're defending slightly the inside line of turn 1. He had a little look on the inside, but we can stay in front of him, and which is very important. And another lap later, on to lap 19 now, we set a new fast lap, which is also important, especially when there's an Aston Martin that is not going out of the way, and we get a drive-through penalty for grazing him, for literally just grazing him. We get a drive-through penalty, literally in the same lap. There are another 2 backmarkers that are holding me up, and as said before, the fast lap was very important to show me that I'm quick. So it's not really this bad that we have got a drive-through penalty now, as you can just surf it. But what is Lewis Hamilton doing? He literally glitched into me. Why can the AI brake so late on the pit entry? But I get limited instantly, and now we're serving the penalty and come out of the pits still in P1. This is what I said, we're way too quick for the AI around this track, which is also making the penalty look like nothing. 2 laps later we came in to finally change our tires, and we are changing to the soft tires, and as we have got a penalty, it cost us a bit of time, so we're exiting the pits. We're down in P4, and there was a Mercedes that got lapped. I thought he overtook me, but I thought wrong, and he was lapped. Unfortunately, I braked because he slowed down, and I thought he would have an engine failure and suddenly come across the track, but he didn't. And so here we are, half a lap later, even on the same lap, we caught up to Max Verstappen with our new fresh mounted soft tires. We're super quick now, and we caught up to Max Verstappen right away, instantly into the chicane. We go side by side with him, we overtake him, and with no contest we're finally up in P3 again. And this is when our travel has also stopped because the Ferraris were too far away. So in the end we'll have to settle back with P3, but that's a great result anyways, as we're still in contest for winning the championship. In the end it will be 26 points to Lewis Hamilton. We had 36 points ahead of the weekend, so I could have won the championship around Suzuka. Now we're maybe going to win the championship after the sprint next time out in Brazil. So here we are, down the line, and then come home in P3.
Brilliant job. That's a big result for the team.
And here's the podium. We finally made it again after not standing on a podium out last time in Dubai. Another 1-2 for Ferrari, and now let's check out the results. Lewis Hamilton wins it once again, the 4th win for him this season. Leclerc comes home in P2, and we round up the podium. And Russell, it was Russell who got lapped by me. He came home in P16 in the end. Now let's check out the Drivers' Championship standings. With Gasly's amazing P6 in the race, he made up 5 places in the championship and is now up to P11. And here are the Constructors' Championship standings, nothing changed.